In a world where fantasy football has taken over the land, two unlikely heroes will arise. They call themselves the Fantasy Football Apocalypse. But who are they?
Trent and Jeremy. Trent and Jeremy. Trent and Jeremy. Trent and Jeremy. Trent and Jeremy, yes, they are the boys. When it comes to fantasy advice, they got the noise. One's a little loud, and he's far from cautious. His voice alone will turn your stomach nauseous. MC number 2, well, it's just not that simple. Some would even question that he's borderline mental. These two combined will try to be funny, but their main goal is to try to make you money.
Oh, yes! Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of the Fantasy Football Apocalypse. I am Trent Scott, joined by Jeremy Scott.
Yes, Trent, good to be here. It's officially Christmas season, and more importantly, it is the last week of the fantasy regular season. How about that, Trent?
Yeah, most people, their fantasy season is coming to an end this week, unless you are fortunate enough to make your league's playoffs, which I have already clinched a berth in ours. Jeremy fighting to try and survive. It's not looking too good, though.
Now, those of you that have been following us all season long, I battled back from 1-5 to be in playoff contention. Come on! Come on!
So, Jeremy, I think my big takeaway for you this year is the draft actually does matter. You can't just have the worst draft in the league and make the playoffs.
I was an advocate saying it didn't matter, but it definitely plays a role. But you can do a lot by trading. I mean, you absolutely can. But look at the best team in our league. He drafted an incredible team. Now he made a big trade that really helped him, but he drafted extremely well. I mean, think about it. He drafted Gurley, Brady, Steve Smith, who went down, I guess. Who else?
Arian Foster, who also went down.
That's right, dude. And he had Foster, Forte, Martavis Bryant, because he got Foster and Bryant later on, which is a good point. I mean, if you think about it, it's benefited him well. Now Le'Veon, I still was anti because he missed so much of the season. He virtually missed all of it, but you can't predict the second injury. But I don't know. The draft definitely matters, Trent. I'll give you that.
All right. So before we get to this week, let's take a quick look back at last week. Jeremy, you did beat me, so the comeback is official. For the first time all year, you now lead our head-to-head series 6-5-1.
And it's crazy that this is our last week.
Well, no, it's not.
Yeah, this is it. It's amazing. I
do want to brush on one particular player, though, because last week's show featured our...
Oh, no.
Our biggest...
We're not going to touch on one player.
Hold on.
No.
We had the biggest argument we've had all year on our show last week, and it was about one of your picks, Jeremy.
We will highlight some others as well.
We'll
highlight. I had 4 of the 6 guys go for 17 or more.
Yes, you absolutely did. Mariota, Ivory, Buck Allen, and Amari Cooper all did their part.
We'll start with that, and then we'll bring up LaFell, and then we'll abuse the mess out of me for the pick. LaFell did not do anything, and if it wasn't for 3 screen passes, he literally, and I probably would have won, but he wouldn't have done anything. But all right, Trent, the floor is yours.
So last week, I basically reprimanded you for picking Davante Adams coming off a horrible game. You insisted that he was a very good wide receiver.
No, I said he'd be a good fantasy option.
Okay, fair enough. Jeremy, how did Davante Adams look on Sunday?
On Sunday, he was probably sitting on the couch. On Thursday, he was dropping balls in the rain. Dropping lots and lots of balls.
Now, many people would consider Aaron Rodgers the best quarterback in the league. So you figure if you get 11 targets in a game from that guy, you should be having a pretty decent fantasy day.
What did he drop? Like 4 balls? You watched the game, right?
I was at work. The only game I got to see was the Cowboys game, actually.
On Thanksgiving, you were at work.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
yeah, well, I guess you didn't see it. But anyway, he dropped so many balls. James Jones dropped the game-winning touchdown in the end zone and didn't have a catch all day. And Cobb, I don't remember if he dropped anything.
Cobb had 7 targets and 6 catches.
Okay, yeah, he had a good game.
But anyway, Davante Adams,
it was bad.
11
was
targets, winds up with 2 catches for 14 yards.
Here's some words, Trent, that you need to write down and you need to study them. Okay?
I'm dying to hear this.
I was wrong. I was wrong, my friend. I was also wrong about Jameis Winston. He's turning into somewhat of a viable fantasy option.
So I just wanted to point out that, you may have beat me, but the one player that we really, really got into it about, I was right on. So
you were
I'll
right.
take that as a moral victory.
And my bank account will count it as a $100 increase victory.
But enough of that. Let's move on to this week's picks, shall we, Jeremy?
Let us do it.
All right, so with your win, you get the honors yet again. So who's your quarterback this week?
So what? It's 6-5-1, right? And we have.
That is correct.
I guess we have. We're gonna go through the regular season, right? So week 17.
Right.
Okay.
So we have 5 more weeks, counting this week.
All right, I'm going with Jay Cutler. Been struggling a little bit as of late, but one of those games was against Denver, so that's understandable. The other was against Green Bay in, very, very rainy, cold weather. It's not like he had a bad game. I mean, he had 200 yards and a touchdown, but you're definitely looking for a little bit more than that from a quarterback. But playing a juicy matchup against San Francisco, Alshon Jeffrey is healthy, Forte's back. All signs are pointing for a good game for Cutler, so I like him as my quarterback of the week.
Yeah, Cutler's one of those middle-of-the-road guys, which my pick is pretty much as well. But the problem with Cutler continues to be what it's been his entire career, and that's interceptions. If he protects the ball, he's capable of blowing up and having huge games. He's done it throughout his career. But he's also quite capable of having a 3 or 4 interception game, which I don't think he's had yet this year.
Dude, I was looking at his stats the other day, and I was actually pretty surprised. He's only had 2 games below double digits, and the other ones were high teens to low 20s. He's doing all right.
Yeah, he's having quietly a solid season. In fact, that whole Bears team is quietly having a decent season. They are 5-6 and clinging to life in the wild card race.
Well, yeah, the Vikings are dominating that division.
Well, we'll see if that holds up. The Vikings have a really tough game this week. But,
Who are they playing?
The Seahawks.
Oh yeah, but it's at Minnesota, and the Seahawks aren't. I don't know what's happened to them, but that's a different podcast.
Yeah.
So Trent, who's your quarterback?
So speaking of middle of the road guys,
how about the quintessential?
How about Alex Smith?
Oh,
now,
man.
a little bit of a joke there, but the fact is, Alex Smith is averaging 17 points a game this year. He's quietly having a really solid season, which, that's what he does every year. He quietly has a solid season. I was telling Jeremy before we started recording, Alex Smith hasn't thrown an interception since September. It is now December. It's been over 2 months since he's thrown a pick. He's only thrown 3 all season. And they're playing the Raiders this week, who have not looked great the last month or so. So I like the matchup, I like the consistency, and I like Alex Smith.
Yeah, I can't disagree. He's got a juicy matchup, and he'll get you 15 points. He's consistent, but gosh, I hate him. I hate watching him play, except when he's benefiting me by dumping off to Charizard.
Not Charizard. Not after last week.
Charmeleon still.
Charmeleon.
He was about to evolve, dude, but
he was so close.
Oh, Ash he couldn't quite win the victory,
Well, let's go ahead and move on then, Jeremy, because I believe your RB of the week is Mr. Charmeleon, is it not?
It is Charmeleon, and I'm hoping he evolves into Charizard after this week. He's got a great matchup. He's playing the Oakland Raiders, who are not good against the run, unless they're playing Chris Ivory. then they get 17 rushes for 10 yards. But anyway, I really like West to bounce back. He should be healthy, and I'm not worried about him not playing. He almost played last week, so he's a great start. And he's 6,800. I mean, I don't get it.
Well, my concern with West is this. Spencer Ware has played so well the last 2 weeks that West might not be getting as many touches as he was pre-injury. Now, instead of being a 20-touch guy, he might just be a 12 to 15-touch guy because they might want to keep Spencer Ware on the field some. So that would be my concern, is a decreased role. I mean, he'll still be the starter, and he'll still be the main guy, but he might not be as dominant with the backfield touches as he was.
All valid points. Trent, give us your running back pick of the week.
So my running back pick of the week, I picked him last week. You talked about how bad of a matchup he had. He still managed to score 14 points and find the end zone. This week, again, another bad matchup on paper, but in reality, I think it's going to be another close game just like last week, and I think that the Seahawks will be running the ball late in the fourth quarter. And I think Thomas Rawls has another good game this week. I easily see him being around that 15-point number. He's been just electrifying ever since he's come onto the scene this year, and I expect that to keep going this week.
You know, he definitely did better than I thought he would. Pittsburgh's defense on the whole did not look like the same defense, but Rawls did. He played well. He definitely gets the carries. You know, it's the Seahawks are also a different team at home. I'm a little more leery because Minnesota is a proven good defense all around, not just a good run D like Pittsburgh's secondary sucks. But I'm curious to see what he has. I think Rawls is a special player, my friend. I think Rawls will be. I pretty much just take Lynch's spot next year. Or I don't know. Maybe Lynch will.
Lynch might be done.
He almost retired last year.
Yeah, he might be done.
Didn't they? What'd they sign him to? A 1 or 2 year deal, or?
I think it was one with an option.
Yeah, I bet Lynch is done. He seems like his heart's not in it, and I mean Rawls is legit. So long term, I like Rawls. This week, I don't like him, but there are worse options out there.
All right, so Jeremy, who's going to be your second running back?
I got to go with Javorius. He did well against. I mean, he had a good matchup, but he's also got another good matchup. So I'm going to go with Javorius Allen again. Now, I guess last week he did average over 4 yards a carry. The week before he did not. But I feel like Javorius is going to continue to get the ball volume. But most importantly, he gets the catches. He's had 9 catches in the last 2 weeks, and he's playing the one, the only, atrocious Miami Dolphins defense.
Yeah, see, my deal with Allen, obviously I had a lot of fun poking fun at him last week. He did ultimately wind up with 17 points. He really didn't have that great of a game, though. You talked about volume. He only finished with 16 total touches, which for basically being the only running back on his roster to only have 16 touches is really not that many. I'm still very leery of that offense as a whole. I mean, they got lucky to escape the Cleveland Browns, which speaks volumes.
But you gotta, dude, it's the catches. He has 9 catches in the last 2 games. Like, that is a saving grace.
That's really good. Man, it's hard for me to want to pick anybody on that offense, but he did.
I'll pick Kamar Aiken.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I guess you were finished. All right, moving on. Trent, who is your second running back pick?
So my second running back pick. What an interesting season this guy has had, because he was a top 5 pick in almost every fantasy draft. Oh. Then he fell to not even being the starting running back on his own team, to now he's coming off a 100-yard game with a touchdown.
So you could literally be talking about 2 different running backs right now. You could be talking about the guy you're going to pick or C.J. Anderson.
That's a fair point.
That is legitimately true. Who is it, Trent?
I'm going with Fat Eddie Lacy.
Fat boy!
He's playing the Detroit Lions this week, who... I get it, the Lions have won 3 in a row, but is anybody really scared of the Lions? I mean, I'm not. So,
which Stafford are we talking about?
The 5-touchdown Thanksgiving one? I don't think that's happening again.
Gosh.
So I think Green Bay gets their mojo back this week. I think they win this game, and I think that means they'll be running the ball late in the game. So I think Eddie Lacy gets around 20 touches, so the volume's going to be there, and I think he does well.
Let's just say I pray that you're right, because I need Aaron Rodgers to go off this week. But, I mean, as far as the FanDuel pick, Eddie Lacy's a great value, good matchup, and he is turning it on as of late. You can tell that he's feeling better. When he's running, he looks a lot better, which I guess you didn't get to see it since you were working. But I think Lacy will be a solid pick. I mean, he's not going to go off, but I think he'll get 15 or so.
All right, so let's move on to wide receivers now, Jeremy. Who's going to be your wide receiver of the week?
I'm going to go with Amari Cooper, coming off a big game. He's got another big matchup. I think Crabtree's actually. I think they both are going to have a good game this week. It seems like they do that regularly, but Derek Carr has just proven that he's legit. He's got the goods, as I would say, Trent. He's got the goods.
Derek Carr is a borderline top 10 quarterback at this point.
Yeah, I think, and he's young. I mean, this is his second year. I think he's going to end up being a very good player overall. So, also and most importantly, Kansas City's secondary is atrocious. It is so bad. I think Derek Carr. I think that entire receiving core and Derek Carr has a very good game. So, and the good part is too, Kansas City can put up points. So bad defense. An offense that can put up points is it's a perfect recipe for fantasy success, my friend.
Yeah, this definitely looks like a week that Amari Cooper could have a very good game. I don't really have much to disagree with there. I think Cooper's a great pick.
Well, thanks, Trent. Moving on, who's your... Actually, go ahead and brag on this one a little bit, Trent. Who's your wide receiver?
I will gladly brag on this one because this is another guy who you criticized me for picking last week because you said he had a tough matchup. And I told you it didn't matter because all he does is score touchdowns. And what did he do? He went out and he scored another touchdown. I'm talking about Martavis Bryant. Now, Jeremy, last year, his rookie year, Bryant played in 10 games and he scored 8 touchdowns. That's pretty darn impressive. This year, Bryant has played in 6 games, and he scored 6 touchdowns. This guy is a touchdown machine. 16 career games, 14 career touchdowns. I don't know how he does it, but he just... you can't call it a fluke because he does it every single week at this point. Dude, I love Martavis Bryant.
Well, he's like, what, 6'8"? And he's fast? I mean... Ben can just throw him the ball in the end zone. He's great. Martavis Bryant is I don't know. I guess the volume, just because of Antonio Brown, in my mind, I still have reservations, but he continues to do it every single week. Except he didn't get in the end zone this last week.
He had a rushing touchdown.
Oh, that's right. He had the rushing. He does it. He literally does it every single week.
Every week, yeah.
Unbelievable, but he's got a good matchup against the Colts. The only reservation is Big Ben going to play? I know he went out with
concussion. It doesn't matter. The game he played with Landry Jones earlier this year, he scored 2 touchdowns.
It's true.
It literally doesn't matter.
Yeah, it really doesn't. But, actually, is Big Ben playing? Do you know?
It is unclear at this point. He's in the league's protocol. It is it could go either way at this point.
All right. Well, I mean, considering he played on his foot, he's going to do whatever it takes to get out there. So, Martavis Bryant, for the money, I think that's a solid pick.
All right, so Jeremy, let's move on. Who is your second wide receiver here?
I'm going to go with Amendola. If he plays, if he doesn't, I'm going Brandon LaFell, but Amendola should play. Philadelphia, we saw what happened to their secondary. Somebody, whether it's Amendola, LaFell, Scott Chandler, or heck, even James White, or I don't even know who another wide receiver on that team is. Is Dobson still there?
No, he got cut.
Anyway, somebody on that offense is going to go off. Philadelphia is bad, and they're struggling, and it seems like they're getting worse. So I love the matchup. Dead last against fantasy points against wide receivers. really think Amendola has a great week if he plays. And I hope. Well, who are you playing in our league, Trent?
You mean who's my matchup against? I'm playing Chase.
It doesn't really matter if you win or lost. And yeah, I hope Amendola does well.
I am actually. I hope he does well too because I'm still alive for a first round bye. So I need Amendola to perform well, assuming he plays. Just kind of adding off what Jeremy said here, the Eagles have given up 45 points 2 weeks in a row, and now get the privilege of traveling to New England to play a ticked-off Tom Brady coming off his first loss of the year.
Oh, Tom, just playing with a chip on his shoulder.
Like, that does not sound like a fun afternoon for the Eagles defense. So, either way, whether it's Amendola or LaFell, one of those guys is going to have a huge afternoon, especially with Gronk out. Amendola could literally get 20 targets if he plays.
Thus begs the question, Trent. Are the Panthers the best team in football?
No, they're not. I don't think anybody really thinks they are. They're not even the best team in the NFC, in my opinion. I think they're still not as good as the Cardinals.
Cardinals are great. I think that's going to be an amazing NFC championship. And then, it'll be good. I mean, the Patriots play no defense. They have a lot of offense. And the Panthers play a lot of defense and have a solid offense. So we'll see. I don't know. Cam Newton this year is just playing out of his mind. He doesn't even have Kelvin Benjamin, dude. Yeah,
Cam's definitely stepped it up this year.
And here's an observation that I've made. Kelvin Benjamin makes Greg Olsen better. I mean, even though Greg Olsen's doing great, he had better numbers last year.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
but it was also a contract year. That makes a big difference.
You're just gonna cut me off every time I start talking.
But
so yeah, Cam's definitely stepped it up. But they might be really dangerous next year when Benjamin gets back because they're doing it right now with Ted Ginn Jr. as their leading wide receiver.
Gross. Yeah, Funchess is a joke. But let's get back to reality, Trent. Let's get back to reality. Let's start doing our fantasy picks again. Who is your
fantasy is real life?
Who is your second wide receiver pick of the week?
All right, so my second wide receiver pick, I talked about his quarterback earlier. You talked about his running back. So in other words, me and you are all in on the Chiefs this week because I'm going with Jeremy Maclin. He had another huge game last week. He is having a really good season, and no one's really noticed it. Just basically everything I said about Alex Smith earlier applies here. They're playing the Raiders, who have been playing terribly, and I think the Chiefs might be able to score like 31 points this week or somewhere in that area. I think Maclin scores again, and I think he has a really good game.
Let me just put the record straight. If we could pick Kelsey, we would pick him. Just so we can have an entire
clean sweep, yeah.
Every skill position for the Chiefs. But Maclin coming off a big game. Raiders defense is just not good, so it depends. I think Maclin and West will both do well. It just depends on which one will do better. Let's put it that way. I don't think both of them are going to go off, but I guess they always could. You never know.
And that's fantasy, boys.
Screw fantasy. So
all right,
bitter.
let's.
I was telling Trent before the show started. And some of you listening, I'm sure, are in the league, but I clinched a first-round bye this last week in a league for more money. But I don't even care because the league I'm in with Trent is the league that we've been in since like 2006, and it just means so much more. And I've won it the last 2 years in a row, so that would be nice to three-peat. But that's virtually impossible in fantasy.
Yeah. Literally, no one wants you to make the playoffs.
Oh, nobody! Absolutely no one. I've literally had a vendetta against me all year long, but a true fantasy player will trump it. Anyway, let's get the show going.
Tight end time. Yeah, Jeremy, who's your tight end this week?
Tight ends. Oh, I will commend Trent. He had a good tight end pick. Rudolph had double digits last week. Now, who was my tight end last week? I don't even remember.
Your tight end last week was Zach Miller, who scored a touchdown and did
absolutely
nothing else.
Hey, play the matchups, baby. I'm going with Julius Thomas. Playing the Titans. The Titans are 23rd against the Tight end position. So again, really in this position, all you can do is matchups. Now I know we bash on tight ends, Trent, our picks, but I actually I pick them every now and then in FanDuel because as far as the matchup and how cheap they are, you can get so much more money. Like you can allocate that money to much more skilled players. So it really does kind of help, and be interested to see if it's helped any of our listeners as well. I'm sure it does. Get told all the time, but anyway, I'm going Julius Thomas, coming off a major week.
Yeah, huge game. 9 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown. He also scored a touchdown the week before that. The 4 weeks before that, he was terrible.
Oh, awful.
2 weeks in a row, he's been very good, and last week he was crazy good. I don't think we can quite say he's back yet, but another thing to keep in mind is Allen Hurns is out this week.
Is he? For sure?
Yeah, he's for sure out, already confirmed. So Thomas could have an even bigger role in the offense than he had last week, which is kind of a scary thought because of how big he was last week. So I think Thomas is in line for a huge game.
Hey, well, Trent, that's probably the most agreement we've ever had on a pick this year. You think?
Yeah, probably so, yeah.
let's just soak this moment in real quick. Let's just soak it.
This is great audio for our listeners out there.
And soaked. Okay, Trent, close us off.
All right, my tight end this week. We talked about the Patriots a minute ago. How about Scott Chandler? There's no Gronk this week. Chandler had 11 targets already last week in a game that Gronk played all the way until the end of the fourth quarter in. With no Gronk this week, how many targets do you think Chandler's going to get this week?
I don't know, man.
He was already a red zone target for Brady. Now he's going to be an every down player this week against what we already talked about is a terrible, terrible pass defense. I think Scott Chandler could have a huge, huge game.
Yeah, I don't like the Patriots, but I think Chandler has a big game. They're playing Philadelphia, like you said, targets. He brought in 5 for 58, and that was against Denver. Like, Denver is the best defense in the league, so I think he has a very good. Now, a surprising fact is Philadelphia gives up second least to tight ends. However, it seems like the Patriots are like an exception. You know how there's matchup-proof players? It seems like the Patriots, it doesn't matter. Like, whatever they game plan for happens.
Yeah, that's part of the benefit of having the best coach in the league. He figures out how to exploit the other team's weaknesses.
Dude, is really best coach in the league better than Dan Campbell? Come on. Hey, we just fired Cam Laser, by the way. Which
I saw that.
I kind of liked Cam. I didn't think that was that big of a deal. But, Cam Laser was the first offensive coordinator for Chip Kelly when Chip Kelly came into the league. So that's where he got his grounds. But, the Chip Kelly experiment is failing. I think he's got one more chance.
He's definitely in trouble.
This is what I'm worried about. Let me switch to college real quick. And my brother actually pointed this out a few weeks ago. If the Longhorns fired Charlie Strong, they may be going hard after Chip Kelly. But then again, does Chip Kelly want to go there? Is another story. But I thought he should have went to USC. Chip Kelly blew it.
Well, I don't think USC. This interim guy, Clay Helton, did so good. I'm not sure that USC was really interested in going outside because, that team had completely fallen off the rocks, and now they're playing in the Pac-12 championship game this week with a chance to go to a New Year's Six game. So I don't think USC was ever really an option for Chip Kelly. As far as Texas is concerned, I'll say this. If Chip Kelly is going to go back to college, what other job could he possibly want more than that Texas job right now?
A ton. Nobody wants the Texas coaching job. Texas
what
sucks. They can't
what
get
job
recruits.
open is better than Texas right now?
Texas's job isn't even open.
Well, theoretically.
They're not going to fire Strong.
No, but I'm just saying, you talked about if Strong gets fired.
Oh, yeah. Man, I hope the Eagles keep tanking and they can Chip Kelly this year.
Because the only other job open that has any kind of real relevance right now is Miami, and they might be worse off than Texas because at least Texas has $100 million budget that they're going to spend every year.
Dude, I wonder where Herman is going to go for Houston. Houston said they'd make him the highest paid whatever the word is, non-big
Power
school.
5.
Yeah, non-Power 5, the highest paid, I think $3 million. But some school, he was looking at some school. That guy is going to be a stud. He's going to be a stud coach. But anyway, let's I guess let's get back to fantasy. Although we're done, let's get back to fantasy.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about fantasy. I think we're pretty much done with this week, Jeremy.
Yeah. It's been a long season. Everything's wrapping up. Best of luck to you guys out there, and we appreciate you continuing to listen to us all year long. I can tell it's paid off by what people have told us, and one of our listeners actually thinks he knows more about fantasy than anybody else now. Not to name any names, but that's another story. So anyway, Trent, I guess that's it. Signing off. We will see you guys next week, and Merry Christmas.